So hey everyone, welcome back to another Modern Warfare video. Infinity Ward have very recently added the brand new Bruen MK9 LMG. It came out with the mid-season update, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to unlock it as fast as possible, and when I say that I do mean that. So guys, be sure to stick around to the end of the video so you don't miss out on any important tips. Everything I say is going to be quite important to help you get it faster, so like I say, don't miss out. And if you guys go on to find it useful, be sure to leave a like on the video, it really helps me out. Without further ado though, let's get into it. Okay, so to unlock the new DLC weapon known as the Bruen MK9 light machine gun, you unlock the weapon for free by doing this challenge, which says you have to get 3 kills when the enemy is near smoke using an LMG in 15 different matches. So I'm going to quickly talk about what that means. I'm then going to talk about the class setup to use, and then I'm going to give you some good tips at the end. So like I say, stay tuned so you don't miss out on any important tips. So what this means is that you need to get 3 kills in a game where each time the enemy is near or in the smoke from a smoke grenade. You need to do this in 15 separate matches, and just so you know, obviously it doesn't have to all be in the same life. It can be spread out throughout a game. As long as you get it 3 times in a match and do that 15 times, then you get this challenge done. So first things first, what kind of modes should you be playing? Well, currently the best game mode and map to play is the shoot the ship playlist. Definitely I would recommend this 100%. It's a very small map. Ideally what you want to be going for is shipment. It is possible to do it on shoot house, and I'll talk about how to do that, but ideally shipment is the best map. It's small, it's close quarters, it's easy to get the kills, so definitely shipment if you can. Now if shipment or the shoot the ship playlist isn't there, that's fine, you can choose other maps. In that case I'd recommend either searching for shipment in other rotations, or you can just find other close quarters combat maps. Ones like Rust, Shoot House, Hackney Yard, Crash, Vacant, those kind of small maps. Some of the objective modes can be good as well, and I'll explain more about that in just a second. So modes like Domination, Hardpoint, Hard Quarters, they're really good modes as well, and that's just because you get enemies bunching up into specific places and you can predict where enemies are going to be, and that helps when it comes to the tactics. I'll talk about that in just a second. So for the setup, you need to choose an LMG. It doesn't matter which light machine gun you go for, but it needs to be leveled up enough to use certain attachments. So I've gone with the first one, the PKM, but whatever one you have that's got enough attachments unlocked. This is my example class, but you can put on whatever you want. So I went for the Solid Zero NVG Enhanced Optic, which is a thermal sight, and that helps you to see enemies through smoke, so obviously it's going to be very useful for this challenge. I also put on the Operator foregrip, reduces the recoil a bit. I put on the stippled grip tape, which helps with faster ADS. I also put on no stock, which helps with that as well, and the sleight of hand so you can just reload your weapon faster. So that was my setup, but you don't have to do it like that. You can do it however you want, but I would recommend putting on a thermal optic if you've got one, because obviously, like I say, it helps you to see enemies through the smoke. There are other thermal ones, but this is the one I liked using. So for the perks, I went for Cold-Blooded in perk 1. This is just where you're undetectable by AI targeting systems and also by thermal optics, which is really important because at the moment, I think a lot of people are going for this challenge. A lot of people are going to be using thermal optics, so it helps us in itself. And then beyond that, in perk 2, I went for the Restock perk. This is really good because it allows you to recharge your equipment. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting on smoke grenades, and you can recharge equipment over 25 seconds. So every time you use your equipment, 25 seconds will go by. As long as you don't die, your equipment will just recharge again. So in perk 3 I went for Tracker. This is just to see enemy footsteps. It doesn't really matter as much what you go for, but this is just what I wanted to use. You're also going to want to throw on the smoke grenade, like I say, as your tactical, and then for the lethal, it doesn't really matter what you use, just don't bother using the lethal at all. For field upgrades, again, it doesn't really matter too much, but I put on the tactical insertion just because if you find a good spot, you can keep respawning back to that place to try and get enemies in the smoke. Again, more on those tactics later on. So for the kill streaks, I recommend using the non-lethal ones, Personal Radar and UAV. These help you to find enemies, to see where they are, and to potentially get more kills in the smoke. Don't use anything that's a lethal kill streak because that will take away from the kills you can get with your light machine gun. So what kind of tips can I give you guys? Well, the first thing is you're going to be wanting to play on close quarter combat maps, especially ones like Shipment. So most of those tactics will kind of refer to maps like that. So what you want to do, especially on Shipment, is throw the smoke grenade into their spawn, or you can also do it in high flow areas or on objective points. So this is why a combination like Domination on Shipment is really good, because Shipment is a small map, and on Domination you've got specific flags that enemies are going to capture. You know where they're going to be. It's very predictable, so you can throw smokes on those areas. So like I said, into spawns, high flow areas and objective points, those are what you want to aim for. So on Shipment this translates to being the center of the map. The B flag is very important. There's always enemies there, and also it's that center lane. People always come through there, so definitely that's a good place you want to be aiming for, as you'll hopefully see in my gameplay. The other place is each corner of the map has the main spawn points. So let's say you're in one corner and you've just spawned, normally the opposite corner in both directions will have enemies spawning. Not always, but a lot of the time. You just want to throw a smoke grenade across into the opposite area. Normally there'll be enemies spawning there, and again you can just, kill them like that. So on Shoot House, it's not impossible, but it's a lot more difficult, so you want to be trying to avoid that map. Ideally keep trying to get into shipment. But for Shoot House, the center lane you can use. I got a few there, and there's also the left side of the map between the second floor building and the entrance to the opposite spawn. It's a bit difficult to explain, but I'll show you where I mean. That's a good place as well. If you keep chucking smoke grenades out of the window from that building down through that walkway that comes underneath that building, lots of enemies come there, so definitely use that. It's a good spot. But regardless of the map you're on, you want to either hang around the smoke area and try and get kills in the smoke, or you can step back from it, aim down sight and look into the smoke for potential enemies coming on. So either way works. It depends on the map and the situation, but tailor it to your situation to decide what would be best for you in that moment. Now when you're on maps such as shipment, you also want to be looking out for anyone else either on your team or on the enemy team who is possibly going for this challenge. I say that because I've noticed that recently, since this new weapon came out, there's been a lot of people in shipment throwing smoke all over the place with LMGs, so I'm assuming they're going for the challenge. So if you've got friendlies on your team who are throwing the smoke grenades, use them to your advantage as well, because it means you're more likely to get kills in the smoke rather than just you throwing them. At the same time, if there's anyone on the enemy team who looks like they might be doing it, they're more likely to hang around the smoke themselves, and so if you see them doing it, try and track them, follow them, and get some kills off them as well. And equally, if you're playing with any friends, just get them to run some smoke grenades in their class and keep throwing them down for you. It makes it a hell of a lot easier when there's more smoke grenades, because the cover lasts for longer and the smoke spreads out further, making the kills easier. So definitely, if you're trying to get the challenge done, definitely recommend doing it at the moment, because a lot of people are going into shipment, throwing smoke grenades down and just doing it like that. And possibly even if you need some help with it, feel free, if anyone wants to put a comment down below this video just to see if anyone else wants to help them with it, feel free to do that. You could both go in, throw smoke grenades, and make it a little bit easier for you both. Now, if you're really struggling, what I'd suggest you can do is sit on top of the crates in the shipment map and just watch over that center pathway, especially in matches with objective points like Domination. So in Domination, you've got the B flag in the center. Enemies will keep flocking into that center pathway. Literally just keep chucking smoke grenades down there. You can even put a tactical insertion down on the shipment crates if you want, so that you can respawn, throw a smoke grenade down and look over that area, and there'll be always enemies coming through there. So definitely use that. I can't guarantee that will work 100% of the time, but that's been really effective for me for getting these kills done quickly. Now, if you're using the thermal optic to try and get some of these kills, just be aware that some of the other enemies might be using cold-blooded. So not everyone will always show up as well as what you'd like them to. So I think generally, if an enemy is using cold-blooded, you might just be able to see their outline. You can just about tell there's a person there, but it's quite difficult because of the smoky effect. If someone is using cold-blooded, you won't always see them. So for this reason, if you think you see an enemy in the smoke, but you're not 100% sure, I'd just say go for it, try and shoot. The worst that can happen is that you don't hit anyone. But if you do shoot, there's a chance that you can either get kills, and you'll see that in the kill feed, which is good because it counts towards the challenge. But otherwise it can give you a hit marker as well to tell you that there are people there, you just need to keep shooting them to kill them. So definitely, if you think there's someone there but you're not 100% sure, just go for it and see if you get hit. I'd also advise as well that the challenge can be a bit stingy at times. Either it's not counting or it's being very pedantic about what it counts and what it doesn't count. So from my experience so far, it seems that they need to be within or touching or just outside of the smoke. And it seems like when the smoke has almost dissipated and you can pretty much see back to normal, it doesn't seem that that's properly counts. Maybe it does, but from my experience, it seems that a lot of the kills I've gotten where the smoke's almost gone, that doesn't really count. So I think it needs to be thicker smoke. There is really not much leeway when getting these kills, so they are a bit challenging. And coming on to a similar point, if you think you have made progress towards the challenge, but the challenge bar still says 0 out of 15, or it hasn't updated since your last game, the challenges can be very inconsistent in Modern Warfare. Sometimes they'll, track perfectly, other times they'll be completely off. So what I suggest, if it doesn't seem like it's tracking your progress, close the application, completely close the game, go back to the main menu of your console, whether that's PlayStation or Xbox or whatever, restart the game again, load it back up, and what normally happens is that the challenge progress will instantly come back to what it should be. More often than not, it will. And the other thing I'd say is, because it seems the game is quite stingy with what counts towards this challenge, don't just get 3 kills in the smoke and think that's it. I would try and go for at least 4 or 5, if not more, just to try and increase the chances of you actually getting the challenge, because there was quite a few games where I was almost certain that I'd gotten the challenge done, but then when I finished the game, no progress update, and even when I restarted the game it didn't help in those occasions. So definitely go for more than just 3 kills just to make sure that you're going to get the challenge done in that match. And another very important tip is to make sure you don't leave the game after you think you've got the 3 smoke kills. Not only because of what I just said about the game being very stingy with what counts, but also you've got to stay in the match until it ends, because if you quit early, normally it will count for the first match you quit, and after that it will then give you a penalty where you have to do it a few times without it counting before you can go on to track it normally again. So you'll end up having to do more matches than normal if you end up quitting. So stay in the match until it ends, otherwise it will just be a longer process. Well guys, I hope you found this tips useful. If there's any other tips that I haven't thought of, be sure to leave them down below in the comment section. Let me guys know what you think of this new weapon, and if you guys found this video useful, be sure to leave a like on it. It really helps me out, and feel free to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my latest Modern Warfare videos. But thank you all so much for watching, hope you found it useful, and I'll see you all on my next one.